weekly news show FYI is back in Downing Street.
Less than a week after Liz Truss resigned, Rishi Sunak became leader of the Conservative Party. But why have we had so many prime ministers recently?
I will unite our country, not with words, but with action.
And we have an exclusive report from Africa, where more than 20 million people face starvation because of COVID, conflict and climate change.
Hi there. Hi. And hi, Scarlett in Downing Street.
Hi.
So another quiet week in Downing Street then?
Yeah, right. Look how many reporters are here from all over the world. I mean, who said politics was boring?
Yeah, I mean, we've had 5 Conservative Party prime ministers in the last 6 years and 3 of them in the last 4 months.
It's crazy, isn't it? So Scarlett, how come we've had so many prime ministers in the last few years?
That famous door behind me has been a bit of a revolving door. So back in 2016, David Cameron felt he should quit because his campaign for the UK to remain in the European Union failed. Theresa May took over, but then she resigned in 2019 because she couldn't get politicians to agree on how we actually leave the European Union. Boris Johnson took her place, but this year he resigned because he broke the very rules he introduced on public gatherings during the COVID pandemic. Liz Truss quit after just 45 days because her ideas on how to help us with the rising costs of everyday essentials actually made some things even more expensive, and her party lost trust in her. Boris Johnson dashed back from a holiday, hoping to get a second chance at being Prime Minister, but then changed his mind. It was Rishi Sunak who got the support of his party. He is Britain's first Hindu Prime Minister and a very successful businessman. He knows his money too. He used to be the Chancellor, the politician who decides how the government spends its money. But is it right for Prime Ministers to come and go at a time where big decisions need to be made on big issues? So we found out that Prime Ministers are supposed to stay in power for 5 years, and then there has to be a general election, where the public gets the chance to vote again on who should run the country. Now, it's important to point out that Boris Johnson and his political party did win a general election back in 2019. So here's the really important info. Adults don't actually vote for a Prime Minister. They vote for a local MP, a member of Parliament from a particular party. The MP with the most votes gets a seat here in Parliament. It's where politicians debate and vote on the things the government wants to do. Usually, the party with the most MPs becomes the government, and the party leader becomes Prime Minister. But if their party is not happy with them, they can force them to resign and vote for a replacement. But that's happened a lot while the Conservative Party have been in charge. Some politicians have been saying that the party's been struggling, and it's time for the public to get a say on who runs our country. Did you know a government can announce a general election at any time during their 5 years in power? I got a chance to speak to 2 MPs from the 2 biggest political parties in the UK. Maggie Throop, Conservative MP for Erewash, and Bridget Phillipson, Labour MP for Horton and Sunderland South. Is the government in serious trouble?
So no, the country isn't in trouble. Rishi is really competent. He's very good at looking after the finances of the country.
We've seen obviously 3 prime ministers in 3 months now, so there are lots of problems, and I'm not convinced that the next prime minister is the person to fix it.
Well, you've had, is it 5 PMs in the last 6 years and 4 chancellors in the last 4 months. How can young people have faith in politicians right now?
I think it's a matter of looking at what we do locally as well as in government. What's important at the moment is to make sure we get stability and move on. To have a general election would actually take even more time out, which I don't think this country can afford.
I think we've seen absolute chaos now for weeks and months, but I think the British people should have their say now. Obviously Conservative MPs have had their say, but I think the British people should have a general election and should be able to exercise their voice.
One thing's for sure, the face of who runs our country may have changed a lot in recent weeks, but the problems they need to deal with have not changed. A war in Ukraine affecting millions of people, a shortage of fuel and everyday needs, which are leading to rising costs for British families.
You heard Scarlett say that there are many people in the UK struggling financially, But it's nothing compared to what's happening in Africa right now.
Yeah, the 3 C's. Conflict, COVID-19 and climate change have led to millions of people struggling to find food. The conflict in Ukraine and the pandemic means there's a shortage of food being brought into some parts of Africa, and climate change has led to the worst drought in 40 years, destroying livestock and crops on farms.
We have an exclusive report from 12-year-old Samuel. His family are farmers in Kenya, in Marafa, and this is his world.
My name is Samuel Kombe. I live in Mijo Village, Kenya. This was supposed to be a farm, but there has been a long drought and everything has died. The soil is so dry, as you see, that cannot sustain life for plants. My community depends on healthy harvest to feed and provide for our people. The rains have failed many times, and now nothing will grow. You see, we planted, but it was all in vain. This is because there was drought and we didn't harvest. Still, we have to work the field to prepare for the next season, even though we don't know if it will grow. What else can we do? We are praying to the God Almighty that to give us rain so that we can plant another and harvest. Maize is a very strong crop. It needs the least water to grow. Now, the soil is so dry, even this will not grow. And so, we have no options left. The earth has turned to dust, and our hopes blow away with the wind.
Lots of charities have been trying to get food and medicine across Africa, with the worst affected areas being in the east, like Kenya, Somalia and Ethiopia.
So we called in an expert for more info. Rose Ndulu Ndolo is from the charity World Vision, who are helping communities in Africa. Hi Rose.
Hello, Rhea.
So how is your charity helping people like Samuel and his family?
My charity is supporting families like Samuel in providing life-saving assistance. So we have 50 million people in 45 countries who are facing starvation, and over 810 million people are going to bed very hungry. So we are taking immediate action to save their lives and to secure their futures.
So obviously it's a serious situation, but what can we do to help?
We can do a number of things. So we need to immediately save lives of these children. They are extremely thin, you can see it, and they are ill. And therefore they need immediate treatment to recover from malnutrition. And the good news is we have the tools to be able to do that. We are providing them with treatment, which comes in the form of a packet of peanut paste, which is high in nutrients and helps them to recover. It's a proven cure. But also in the longer term, we need to be providing support to local health systems so that women, girls and children have access to nutrition and health services, but also provide farmers with the support they need to be able to withstand the effects of climate change, but also reverse the impacts of COVID-19.
I think I've gathered a lot more of an understanding, so thank you very much for your time and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coming up, one of our FYI News Club members goes to the biggest school assembly in the UK to hear the latest on what we can do to help tackle climate change.
So Maya, it's that time of year, it's Halloween.
Yeah, I love Halloween. I especially love the costumes and the decorations.
I like the sweets, to be honest with you. Well, this week I found 2 spooky stories that have been doing the rounds online. But can you guys tell which one is fact and which one is frighteningly fake? First up, every wizard and witch needs an owl, right? But check this out. Apparently, this is a photo of a rare red owl with blue eyes, native to New Guinea. Fake or fact?
Or what about this picture of a real-life Addams family? Apparently, these fright fanatics have the surname Addams, so they dress up and celebrate Halloween from July to October every year. Creepy.
One of these stories is fake, but which one? We'll reveal all later. 1,500 pupils from around the UK crammed into a school hall with some pretty famous faces from the world of conservation to discuss climate change.
One of those pupils was FYI News Club member Haleema, who joins us now.
Hi Haleema, how are you?
Hi, I'm great, thanks. How are you both?
I'm very well,
I'm
thank you.
good.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Haleema, your school's FYI News Club was at the school's climate assembly. What was it all about?
Well, it was all about empowering young people to raise their voice and to take action against the climate crisis. There were many inspiring talks from many engaging and passionate speakers, as well as interactive workshops for young people to take part in. So the three outcomes of the event were commitment to 100% renewable power by 2030, climate education for everyone with the support and time for teachers to deliver this, and investment in apprenticeships, jobs and training opportunities to tackle climate change.
Well, it sounds like a super busy day, but it must have been amazing to be surrounded by so many other young people that were just as passionate as like it's just as you.
Yeah, it was a great atmosphere. It was fantastic to see everybody's enthusiasm. The speakers were really friendly and approachable, and everyone just had so much knowledge that they were keen to share. It was a really enjoyable experience for me.
Nice. So there were some pretty famous faces there in the world of climate change. Who did you meet?
I met Chris Packham. He is a wildlife presenter, famous wildlife presenter even, and he's also a conservationist. He was very friendly, willing to answer all my questions, and also very patient.
We've actually got a clip of that now. Check this out.
In Greenland, where the second largest ice sheet in the world is, and the ice sheet which would contribute most, if it melts, or when it melts, to sea level rise, it's somewhere between 20 and 22 degrees. 22 degrees. I mean, that's T-shirt weather in October, you know, in north of the Arctic Circle. This is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. So the urgency for us to exercise our voices in a polite, democratic and peaceful way has never been more profound. You know, we've got to say to these people, now is the time for action.
So he's famous, which means that a lot of people listen to him. But do you think us kids are listened to when we speak out about climate change?
Of course. When you look at it, young voices are very powerful, incredibly powerful. Really, if we prove ourselves, it just shows how much we can get done. Take the example of Greta Thunberg. At the age of 15, she's holding a board outside the Swedish Parliament. Okay, that's not going to do much, but look, in a space of 4 years, she's done so much. She's challenged world leaders at big events like COP26, she's written books, and she's even organised Fridays for Future.
Thank you so much for your time, Haleema.
Thank you.
It's lovely speaking to you.
It's lovely speaking to you both.
Now, if you want to report on FYI, then you should set up an FYI News Club at your school, just like Haleema did.
If you have a story and want to report on FYI or get your say on the big issues, then all you have to do is ask your teacher to set up an FYI News Club at your school. It's pretty easy to do. All the information is on our website.
You can get access to hundreds of FYI reports and programmes, so you can discuss the big issues with your mates. And FYI News Club members get the chance to report for FYI. So, did you guys guess which of our Halloween stories was fact or fake news?
This photo of what was said to be a rare red owl with blue eyes is fake. It's actually a digitally edited picture of an owl from the Philippines.
Which means this picture of the real-life Addams family is fact. Sarah Addams and a family of 5 start celebrating Halloween in July. As well as dressing up, they turn their whole home into a house of horrors for 4 whole months every single year. Spooky. Well, that's it for this week.
But we thought we'd leave you with some of our favourite pictures of Diwali, the Hindu festival of lights, being celebrated across the UK. Many families are also celebrating the appointment of the country's first Hindu Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. Bye!